Good afternoon and welcome to Lebanon Senior Center Crafternoon for the second week in October here. It is the 13th and we have kind of a fun crafternoon for you today. It is a make and take. So if you want one of these kits, we do have 10 of them made up at the Senior Center and you can give us a call and arrange to pick one of those up. I don't know if you've ever been to your favorite coffee place and gotten a hot cup of coffee in one of these to-go containers, and they used to, a lot of places used to do the cardboard sleeves to help protect your hands from a hot cup of coffee. Well, you know, a lot of places are trying to cut back on that waste, so they're not readily handing out those cardboard sleeves. So there is a fun way to make one. You can keep it in your car, carry it in your purse, and you can make your own to protect your hands. It also makes a great gift for someone you care about who's a big coffee fan, because you can totally customize them. So I'm going to set this empty cup aside and we're going to talk about making a cup sleeve. So in our craft kit, you will be getting some printed directions with some ideas on them. And you'll also be getting this template. So this template is actually for paper. So there is some overlap here that we don't need in the project that we're sewing. So I'm going to try to hold this a little bit closer to the camera here. And so what I did is I cut this template out, and then I just kind of snipped off the edge here, this last little 1.5 inch piece, to just make do for what we needed, because we're going to be using an elastic closure so it will fit a variety of cup sizes. So yeah, we just didn't need that last little bit. You're welcome to cut off, or you can certainly include it as well, but you might find that your cup sleeve is a little long at that point, so you might have to do some trimming. So there you go. So first step, cut out your template. When you have it cut out, then you can use the pieces of felt that we supplied. Everybody got 2 pieces of felt in their kit. You can certainly go purchase a different color, or if you've got felt around the house, you can certainly use that. We had some fun ones that we picked up, and some plain solid colors as well. And you just need to position your template on that felt. You can trace around it with a pen first, or you can pin your template to the felt, and then you just need to use some scissors and cut the felt out. Cutting felt is pretty forgiving because it's got kind of a nice finished edge to it. It doesn't have a bunch of fraying string like you might have if you were cutting cotton or another fabric. You can use this template on fabric though, if you would like. And instead of doing some simple embroidery sewing stitches, you could certainly just, you know, sew right sides together around the edges, turn them right side out, finish your end, and sew this together if you would like. But today we are using the felt. So once you get your pieces laid out, there's a couple of different things you can do. I'm going to start with this one in the middle. All right, so for this piece we have this cute little cactus felt that I found, a custom piece that was really pretty. So this is a piece of felt. It's just a designer piece of felt, and on the back side I just have some kind of a blue-green solid color. So I cut 2 pieces out. You can cut a single layer. This one's kind of a single layer. It's just this green. We'll add some protection. I kind of like the double because it just gives a nice thick feel. Makes it a little bit stiffer, but also provides a nice dual layer of material between your hands and a hot cup of tea or coffee or cocoa. So that works really well. So for this particular one, I cut the 2 pieces the exact same size. Okay, and for it, I just put wrong sides together. The solid colors, it's really hard to see if there's a wrong side or right side. Switch whichever side you feel should be the one that people see. And I just stacked them together. And then I went and I did a blanket stitch around the outside edge. To do a blanket stitch, let's see here, we are going to You come up from the back side with your needle. I mean, if it's your first stitch, tie a knot in the back. But you come up from the back side. I lost my rhythm because I wasn't doing it for a second. Whoop, whoop. All right, there we go. To get my needle and thread in line here. All right, so I'm coming up through the back about 1/4 inch, not quite a 1/2 inch from the edge. You don't want to pull it all the way through. You want this little loop of fabric sticking out the back. And then you're going to put your needle back through that little loop that hangs off the back. And you just catch it like that. All right? It kind of makes this nice little edge around the back side of the project. It's really cute. It's really fun. Sorry, it's hard to sew away from yourself. All right. I only had another couple of stitches to go here. And then this one will be finished. Again, catching that loop on the back side. Up from the bottom. Not quite pull through. Catch it from the back. And then when you get back to the beginning, you'll see there's this like diagonal piece. That was our first stitch because there was nothing really to loop it into. But we can go back, capture that one, and pull it tight. And then we can flip it over to the back. And we're just gonna, I just stuck, ran the needle through the first layer of fabric, and I'm just going to make a little, I'm going to do it again one more time there just to kind of make a nice knot to tie it off on. The embroidery floss they gave you is quite thick, so if you run into any problems, try to take it slow. That would be my #1 suggestion. And I guess I should have talked about that embroidery floss that's in your kit. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I will do that here in just a second because, of course, now that I'm tying a knot to finish this one, I want to go ahead and finish tying the knot so I can let go. There we go. So, of course, I took that blanket stitch all around the outside edge. I'm just going to cut my... All right, so I'm going to back it back up here for a second. So I talked about the felt. I talked about tracing around the outside of the felt so that you guys could get your shape for your sleeve. In your kit, there is also a strand of embroidery floss, 6-strand embroidery floss. You can use all 6 strands, or you can cut a piece and you can actually pull it apart and do like half of it and do like 3 strands. It's a little bit easier to sew with if you want it to do it a little bit easier and get your threads less tingly. I like to do it with the full 6 strands when I'm just doing outlines and borders and things because it gives it kind of a bulkier feel. Makes your blanket stitch a little bit more visible, adds a nice definition to the edge of your project. It's just kind of cute. But you can certainly make it your own, and if you know another stitch that you like, you can certainly do another stitch. So again, on this one I just did a blanket stitch around the outside edge, and that's what that kind of looks like. Not the best work, not the best video. Oh, that one's probably the better edge. Nice blanket stitch edge right there. All right, so that holds the 2 layers together. That's why we did that. Okay, another way you can approach this, instead of cutting them out the same size, On this one, oh, I've got my thread cut on a little pin holding it together. So on this piece, oh, hopefully the black will show up against my skin here. We've got this nice, again, designer kind of fun pattern piece of felt. And then there's just a plain piece of black felt that makes this really beautiful piece just pop out, I think, quite a bit. So we cut this top piece to the size of our template, but the back piece, we cut it just about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch wider than the template. So when we cut out the template, we cut on the outside of the line, just so that kind of added a nice little border. I'll hijack our cup again, and you can kind of see when it's going to be on a cup, it's going to have this nice black edge, kind of just really accenting this pretty outside piece of the material. Since felt, you know, as I said, the solid piece is going to have the same colorway on the front and back. It's hard to tell them apart that way. You can do that. If you're going to sew something together, you can't really do that where you have two different sizes, at least not easily. You can do it, but it takes a little bit more effort. And so since I have two different sizes, instead of doing that blanket stitch, because it would be hard to catch the edges, this black would end up curling up, what I did on this one is I just kind of did, oh, the purple's not showing up too well. There it goes. I just did a running stitch. So that's what traditionally people think of sewing, you know, just kind of in and out of the fabric, gathering the two layers together in a nice just running stitch design. Maybe what I'll do is in the description, I will look up a website that has some basic running stitch and blanket stitch instructions, just in case you don't have any prior sewing experience and you want to learn how to do some more decorative stitches. We'll get you some additional information on that. Third option, of course, is you can skip the sewing whatsoever and get some fabric glue and just glue your pieces together. A little bit messier. I like the decorative stitch part myself, but again, that's if it's your project, you can do what you want. And so those are two ways to do the project. And I said another way was just to cut a single piece out. So this is just one piece of felt, and you can certainly do that this way, and just have a single piece of felt going around that cup. It'll offer a little bit of protection. Now you can do it that way permanently, or you can just start with one piece and you can add some decorations. You could cut out some little felt hearts or some stars or something, maybe somebody's initials, and sew them on by hand or machine to your top layer, the piece that would be visible to everyone. I did this kind of rough little fox face out of a couple of scrap pieces of felt. So he's kind of right here. So I figured I would just end up tacking him onto this piece. So you can do all kinds of decorative things if you're doing it as a gift. If there's somebody who has a favorite animal, or if you want to do somebody's name in felt, or you can even do embroidery if you are an embroiderer on that top piece of felt. And if you want to add a second layer after all your decorative stuff is sewn down, you can go ahead and sew a second piece on there if you do want that thicker feel, you want a little more protection against heat for your sleeve. And again, you can choose to do whatever decorative stitch, running stitch, blanket stitch, all kinds of stitches you could do to join those two pieces together. Okay, so I'm going to put this little foxy aside for right now, and I'm going to come back to these two. So in your kit, you had the embroidery flush, you had two different colors of felt. You also have, probably in your confusion, a hair tie, just a simple elastic hair tie. You also have a button. I'm believe they're all black in there, because that's what this box of buttons was. Just a bunch of black buttons. So you have a black button in your kit. This is going to be the closure for our cup. So after you get your two pieces sewn together, or if you're just doing one piece, when you're ready to sew it together, I want you to think about what you want it to look like. So for the one with the two pieces that I've already finished, I am going to tack on this button to one end here. I mean, I don't know any other way than to lick the end of it and roll across my fingers to tie a knot the end of my string. And I'm going to place that button. I'm going to try to kind of center it there. And, well, I would, except I just, of course, did the thing I feared most while filming this. Pulled the thread right out of my scissors. Oh, that is a good segue to also say there is a very simple needle threader in your kit as well. So if you have problems seeing or getting thread into those needles, you can certainly use that needle threader to help get that put together for you. All right, there we go. So I've re-threaded my needle, and I am just, because I've got contrast, so I've got this nice light lime green, I'm not sure what you want to call this color, embroidery floss that I'm using. It kind of accents my cactus motif here. So I'm actually sewing it on, the button on, in kind of a crisscross pattern, because I think it's kind of fun and whimsical. Kind of plays with emphasizing that color up against those cactuses. Alrighty. Alright, just took a quick crisscross so my button is on. I'm just going to tack it down in the back real quick. Boop. There we go. I'm just going to trim off some excess thread. All right, so our button's attached to one side. I could use the lime green, but I'm going to use this black because it was sitting right there, and it's going to be the color I probably used to accent the fox one. Alrighty. Oh. Yep, that just happened. I split a thread. There we go. When you put it on the needle and then end up taking it right back off the needle, it's fabulous. I feel so proud of myself. Okay. Once again, just tying that off. Okay. So once again, we've got our lovely little button on one side, and on this other side we're going to do our little closure here. So again, we're just going to kind of center it towards the edge. You don't want it right on the edge. It's going to have a little tension on it, so you want to come in to about to the middle. I'm coming up from the bottom, and I'm just going to capture this hair tie. So I'm just going up from the bottom, up from the bottom, then I come on the other side of the hair tie and I go back down. And I'm trying to keep it in kind of the same place. That way we have a nice firm hold on this hair tie. I'm going to do one more. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to hold it down. So it's pretty attached to that piece of felt. So again, I'm going to flip it over. Just running under my stitches. However you want to tie a knot or finish off. There we go. Bring our cup back over here. All right. And so when it's put on the cup, trying to do this while not looking at it. Boop, boop. You'll just take the hair tie and snag it right around that button. And since it's got that elastic closure, that's where it can accommodate different size cups, because you can get, you know, if you get a really large cup, it can fit a wider girth. There you go. So that's how that works. And you get a cool little cup cozy. Keeps your hands from getting burned when you're holding a hot cup of coffee, tea, or cocoa, or whatever your hot beverage is. The fun thing that you can also think about doing is sometimes cold beverages are really hard to hold on to. If you want to get something cold and it's icy, and maybe it's, you know, not a day where it's super warm and you're getting cold holding on to it, you can also put this on an iced beverage. Give your hands just a little protectional insulation against holding on to cups of any extreme temperature, either hot or cold. And I was going to show you one other thing. So you saw how I did the button closure on this one, and when you do it this way, of course you see your knots. If you want to do something really finished, if you don't want to see those knots, before you sew your layers together, you can attach your button to the top piece of your set. So the decorative side, go ahead and sew that button on. Just want to make sure you get it in away from the edge a little bit if you're doing a decorative edge, so you still have space to do the sewing on. But sew that button on, and you can sew the hair tie on, and then you can sandwich your layers together. And then you won't be able to see the knots on the back side. So that is an option if you don't want to see those knots. But I figure they're going to be against a cup, so no one's going to really see them anyway, so it doesn't bother me at all. So there you go. There's a fun way to make a little decorative sleeve for a to-go coffee cup. I hope you guys enjoyed that craft today. Have a lot of fun with it. We'd love to see pictures of your designs. You can email them to us, or certainly share them in the comments below if you participated in our craft kit. Yeah, if you got any questions, definitely let us know. You can give me a call at the center, or again, you can leave the comments here, and we will try to help you the best we can. Otherwise, enjoy the craft kit. We do have extras from last week too. There's a couple more if you want to do the wooden block, bent wire, photo holder. Still have just a couple of those available, and we do have 10 of these felt kits already made up at the center if you would like one. Hope you have fun. We'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.